Welcome to Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio coverage of 16 NTC, the Nonprofit Technology Conference. This interview is also part of NTC Conversations. We're in San Jose, California at the Convention Center. My guests now are Rachel Clemens and Sean Doles. That's a very nice wave.
Hi.
Did you want to wave too, Sean?
Too
dignified.
Coming from Austin, you're supposed to do hook 'em horns,
okay,
right?
hook 'em horns. All right. Rachel is president at Creative Success, nonprofit communications firm.
Creative Suitcase.
What did I say? Creative Success. It
Also
says,
Creative
it
Success.
It's very successful.
It says Suitcase right there. All right, let's try it again. President of Creative Suitcase,
That's right.
nonprofit communications firm. And Sean Doles is vice president of mission advancement at the YMCA of Austin. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome, Sean.
Thanks. Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're going to get to your topic on donor retention very shortly. But I have to shout out the swag item for this interview, which is from Phone to Action. And it is a card holder for the back of your iPhone. Of course, you peel off the adhesive and stick it to your phone. And then you put your Phone to Action business card in it, or your Subway Metro card, or your whatever other driver's license, etc. Very practical. Goes in the swag pile for today. That's our NTC swag pile.
It's a pretty good pile.
It was bigger, but it got stolen overnight. You believe that? I had an N10 scarf there.
Oh,
the scarf got scarfed.
You can't trust these nonprofit folks.
No, it was after hours. I was there till 6:30. Okay, come back and see us. Increasing your donor retention. Rachel, what are we
Yes.
not getting quite right? I'm not impugning all nonprofits and all practices, but what are some nonprofits not getting quite right about some of their donor practices that are leading to too much attrition?
So the reason we wanted to talk about this today was we work a lot with our clients to do year-end strategies or giving campaign strategies. And what happens is a lot of the times we're doing the strategy, we're doing the design, and then we ask, what are you going to do to cultivate these donors after the fact? And there's not a good plan for that. So what's happening is they're working a lot to get new donors in the door, but not necessarily working to keep the donors that they're getting.
Right, which is a problem. We have very high attrition rates.
Right.
I've heard as high as 70%. You have a different number. What's
Yeah,
that?
we have the number from Bloomerang that 43% come back.
43%. So that would be a 57% loss.
Right.
Still over half.
Still high.
Right. It's
Yeah.
terrible. No, it's terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
it
after
should
all
be-
that work.
I feel like it should be like 2 or 5%.
Right.
Yeah. After
If
all
only.
Because we know how much, Sean. Because we know how much it costs, of course, to replace a donor than to retain one.
Right. It's infinitely more efficient to retain that donor, keep them happy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump into some strategies. My voice just cracked again. It's like third time today. Jump. Okay.
Reverse puberty.
12 years old. Yeah. One reading from the session description, expressing gratitude, stewardship. What can we do better around stewardship? Let's start with you, Sean.
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to have an organized plan, and then you have to execute on that plan.
Yeah.
You have to be judicious. It has to be realistic in terms of its sustainability. It has to fit with your level of resources, whether it's cost or staff time.
Yeah, it's got to be realistic.
So you got to create the plan, then you got to execute on it, and if you can do that, you will see a tangible result from it.
Okay.
And you have to be flexible along the way. Sometimes you have the best intentions with a plan, and then reality gets in the way, and you have to adjust. You're not going to get to everything on your plan, maybe. Or maybe you try something that you intended to do and it's not working the way you had envisioned. You got to adjust, but donors will recognize the effort made to thank them, to communicate the impact of their gifts. They recognize that, and it is that appreciation is manifested with recurring donations.
Okay. What types of things, Rachel, belong in our stewardship plan, this strategy?
Right. So I think the first place is, what are you going to do? What are the tactics you're going to put in place? So as Sean mentioned, thanking them. So cumulative thank yous, both online and off. So you might look at email strategies, impact videos, any sort of infographics that might be appropriate to show impact. You also want to think about showcase. Basically, the reason you want to do a lot of those things is that you want to remind them why they gave in the first place. So thinking about why they might have given, segmentation is also something to think about. So when they give the first donation, why are they giving? You might ask them what particular focus area they have, so that you can do mini campaigns to them around those focus areas moving forward. So those are some tactics. For
And I think another key point is personalization to the extent that it is possible. Organizations may have thousands of donors, but to the extent that you can cut through and have a one-to-one communication to them that says, Tony, thank you for your gift. Here is how you have made an impact on someone's life.
Including if we know if they've given it to a certain campaign
Right.
or a certain program, recognizing that.
And I realize we're at a nonprofit technology conference, but in this day and age, something as traditional as a handwritten note or a personal phone call
very touching.
carries considerable currency and can be some of the most effective forms of stewardship that we could do.
I'm a big fan of handwritten notes. But they're so rare.
They're more
They're so
effective
rare,
now than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and the
because
Y
they're
has the
even
benefit
rarer.
of having children as part of their after-school campaign. So they'll use, kids will create bookmarks as
Oh,
part
that's
of
great.
camp.
Arts and
Yeah,
crafts
yeah.
project. Hey, we got another arts and crafts project for you. We're making bookmarks, or we're making placemats, and we get 1,000 kids making placemats, and then we turn and we share them with our donors. And anecdotally, those are some of the most effective stewardship pieces that we create. People say, "Oh, I love this bookmark. It puts a smile on my face every time I'm flipping through the pages of my favorite
It's
novel."
very touching. Of course, it's sweet. It's handmade, child made.
Yeah.
Made in the USA.
What's not to like?
Made in Austin, Texas.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right. All right. What else? Stewardship. I mean, it's such a broad topic. How else should we be thanking our donors? And in the process, as you pointed out, Rachel, we're cultivating them subtly for their next gift. So what else can we say about stewardship?
I think another thing to consider are reactivation campaigns or win-back campaigns. So, for example, if you've got a large database but you're not getting a lot of engagement from that database, segmenting those donors in the database that you would consider inactive. So you would define what makes an active donor. So are there someone who's given in the last year? Have they opened our emails, clicked? Right. You take the inactive bunch and you take them through a reactivation campaign. So basically you say, hey, we haven't heard, we've missed you. We'd like to connect with you, or this is the last time you'll hear from us. And at that point, you're asking them to opt back in. You're not asking them to opt out. You're asking them to say, I still want to get information from you.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you can take them through sort of a re-welcome series or something like that, that would basically re-engage them, get them interacting, opening things again before you go and ask for money again.
Okay.
It's not an effort to ask for money right out the gate.
Oh, okay. So it's more just trying to get some engagement.
Yeah, show that they're still interested.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
educate
Sean.
them,
Yeah.
reconnect them to the cause. And from the outset, I think there are several different ways you can approach this categorically. One is kind of short, medium, and long range. The immediate recognition, the immediate thank you letter or communication that goes out. Then what's gonna be going out on a monthly or quarterly basis. Other ways to conceptualize it are the online versus offline. There's a handful of things that like I mentioned, the note, the phone call.
Yeah.
In our organization, we recognize major donors by hanging banners in our YMCA facilities. You might walk into a gymnasium or a swimming pool area, and you see a big banner on the wall. Many museums or schools have different signage opportunities. So there's and then there are all the online tools now that are available. There's obviously emails where you can communicate impact stories, whether it's short form digital videos, email communications, social media, where you're recognizing a donor through your social media channels.
Sean, are you doing much with video in this category? The stewardship and cultivation and
we do it in
impact.
We do a lot, and it about 2 years ago it became a strategic focus for us. When we saw that if we could send out an email that would have lines and lines of text, and it would have a certain sort of open rate or click-through rate, or we put a video there and the the open rates or the click-through rates were astronomically higher. So
Yes.
people would much rather click on the video to watch it, even if they only sit there for 30 seconds or a minute. So we put a big emphasis on video, and so we created a program that we called Project 52, which was essentially a goal of creating a video and sending it out once a week, 52 weeks a year, that would communicate some aspect of impact.
And who was this sent to?
This would be sent to donors or specific segmented groups within our donor or within our stakeholder base, people that might have expressed a specific interest in water safety or childhood obesity or something like that. We don't, we, like most nonprofits, we don't have tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy advertising to tell these stories to the community. So we had to figure out cost-effective ways to get these stories out. And so that's one way that we've done that. Another way, though,
I'm going to turn to Rachel. It sounds like you had.
Yeah.
It looked like you wanted to say something about video.
I was actually going to have him speak about how they're doing thank you videos for their donors.
Okay. And that was the other piece of it. That in addition to that, we've done some very, very simple, literally no budget videos using a phone.
Smartphone, yeah.
Where we take a group of kids at summer camp, we give them a poster that says, thank you, Mr. Jones, for making our summer, remarkable. It's a 1-minute video that you then personally email to this major donor.
Yes.
Right?
So you're doing the video just for that person.
Just for that person.
Right.
Yeah.
And put on social.
It took a minute to do that video, and we literally would do 20 of those videos, right? To major. I mean, obviously, if you got thousands of donors, you can't do it for all of them. But you major donors.
Yeah.
And it can make a huge difference.
They're going to share that with their friends, their family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
they're going to love that.
And the production value doesn't matter. It's in this day and age, it's accepted. That's fine.
I have a lot of guests who say low production value is fine. It's sincerity,
right?
Heartfelt,
Authentic.
Genuineness, authentic. Yeah. That's what really grabs people. Not
right.
You don't need the makeup lights and
they're used to cat videos.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fine.
I mean, this is stuff that moves us.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be high production value to be enormously moving.
No.
Great, Sean.
No.
Okay. Anything else around the thank yous, the gratitude?
I would just add one thing, coming from a visual communications background, is to make whatever you're producing, to make it as visual or as compelling as you can. So there's a lot of, especially in Austin, we have over 6,000 nonprofits. There's a lot of noise in our space. So standing out can be tricky. Giving people things they can engage with or that looks like something they'd want to share goes a long way. Just that visual communication is really important. I think sometimes it doesn't get the...
Well, and the web is visual.
Yeah. People scan, they don't read.
Right.
Getting those things.
People love to click videos.
Yeah. I think the other thing, to back up, actually, one of the things that's most crucial in donor retention is actually making that first give really simple and really easy. So making the give process online, like if they're going to come through your donation page, making sure that donation page, the user experience on that page is optimized for your user, where they don't have to think too hard, they don't have to do too much work. Making it super simple, again, making it visually interesting. Maybe you add a delight factor. There's an organization called Saturday Place. It has a great little donation feature. You hit their donation page, and it's very visual. You have a sliding scale of dollar amounts, so you can play with it and see how the impact changes.
So you slide the scale, and then what happens? There's little pictures?
Yeah, there's little icons that change. And so it might be like apples. So you're providing lunches for Saturday Place. Or along the other side, they have different categories. So you can provide basics, which are the lower dollar amounts, or at the very high end, you can provide futures. So I mean, wow, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So as you slide, you're seeing different icons?
Yep, you're seeing them change based on what you're
everything from
giving or what the
apples to
impact
futures.
is. Yep.
Yes. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's really
Great
cool.
idea. All right.
Yeah, the other piece of that is at the entry point, designing your systems so that you can collect information that will help you segment your donors more effectively. Whether you are using an offline, old-fashioned pledge card that maybe has a section where people can indicate what areas of focus are of key concern to them, or in your online donation page, maybe a pull-down menu where they have the option of selecting, and identifying that, out of school time or educational enrichment is of concern to them.
Right.
Then subsequently, when you were going through your stewardship plan, you can maybe segment that group and share some impact stories with them that are going to particularly speak to that audience.
Right.
So,
Again,
but
segmentation, personalization.
but design
Yeah,
that into the
yeah.
process from the very beginning.
Okay. Surveys can be valuable there too. I mean, if you have maybe you haven't built it into the process, or you have some donors for whom maybe they didn't answer the question, or you weren't doing it then. But simple like 5-6 question surveys. I've heard this a couple of times from a few different guests. Easy, but you just have to keep up. You have to keep your promise. If they say these are the programs I'm interested in, or I only want to hear from you at holiday time,
Right.
Don't get them in February when they talked about December being
Right.
their preferred month.
I think people can also use their thank you pages after a donation as a way to get some of that demographic information. So, for example, they've just given to you, they've just engaged with you.
Okay.
Maybe you don't want to do it on the front end in the donation page section because you're worried about adding more fields or whatever the case may be. So, making that thank you page work for you. You could try testing,
testing some of those
segmentation
questions there?
after the fact.
After the donation.
Yeah.
Period.
That way they don't have to
I like
open a
that.
separate email survey. Maybe just put it right there. Could test how many you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Great. I hadn't heard that.
the reality is, the more questions you ask up front, the more boxes you require them to check, the more attrition you're
this is what
going
Rachel
to see.
was saying. Make
Yeah.
the donation process simple.
Yeah,
But
so
after, now I've given my gift. Oh, now they're thoughtful enough to ask.
Yeah.
How many times a year do I want to hear from them?
Yep.
Right.
What times of year?
That's the moment they
Right.
feel best, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They're feeling great.
They're in their giving
That's
moment.
Yeah. That could be a valuable test. Depends. Yeah. Excellent. Let's move to how to plan for and implement sustainer campaigns. We talked about reactivation campaign. How about your sustainer program? We know how valuable those are.
Right.
Month after month, they're just giving $5, $20, whatever.
I think the key
How should we?
to any plan is to have a plan. I mean,
Okay.
truly, that's where
Again.
a lot of it breaks down. You might have a goal to increase your sustainers, but it all comes down to the processes that are underlying, foundation for making those things happen. So making sure you have, a marketing template that you can work off of, that you're building a plan every time, you're getting stakeholder input into that plan. You could probably speak more to the actual implementation of those.
Well, and in one instance, YMCA's, we have facility members. We have what is essentially a sustaining membership that we will market several times a year, really emphasize that, to where somebody would be paying, say, an additional $10 a month on top of their traditional YMCA membership dues, right? And so in order to recognize them, they get a special membership card that they swipe every time they come in. They get a special shirt. There's several other ways that we recognize them. It becomes sort of a conversation piece for them, and a continual reminder of their support for the Y. We'll run several very finite, tightly planned mini campaigns throughout the year, like one around water safety coming up on this time of year, one as we approach summer camp, one as we approach after school care, one at the very end of the year. And we'll utilize the segmentation there so that we're only hitting those audiences that indicated we cared about water safety, we cared about the summer enrichment or whatnot.
Right.
And so we're not creating donor fatigue where a single donor feels like, gosh, you've asked me 12 times this year to give you money. Ideally, maybe we've asked them twice.
And specifically for the programs they've expressed interest in.
Yeah.
Right. Again, that segmentation.
Yeah. And then,
okay.
Yeah.
For the sustainer thing, I think one thing that's interesting, if you look at the younger audiences, they grew up paying for things monthly. I mean, they're used to streaming video and paying $8 a month for Netflix.
Right.
So I think thinking about maybe how you can specifically target that age demographic for sustainer might be an interesting test. Likening it, they're used to software as a service. It's sort of the same model, but in nonprofit world.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
Excellent. Yeah, you're right. They're in the habit of being just routinely billed. Okay. We just have a couple minutes left. Something about anything more around? Oh, you had some ideas about digital automation, deciding which tools are best for you.
Oh, yeah. I think the thing about data, and if you're going to have a plan, you've got to be able to track and measure that plan, right? So Sean always says garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have a good database that's pulling in accurate and good data, then you're not going to get very far.
Yeah.
So we talked in the session about before you look at features for databases, really looking at what your needs are and what your goals are. And you need to make sure that if you're in development, that you're talking to the communications department as well, you're talking to programs. Anybody that's going to touch that data needs to have some upfront say about how they'll use it, why they want it, what it's going to do for them. So before you look at features, really looking at needs and goals.
Yeah, what are the pain points? What are the problems you're trying to solve with this new database? And then the other key point there is once you have the database in place and you're able to extract data, creating reports that are meaningful that you can use in actionable ways. So in other words, we create report cards, so to speak, for each of our facilities, for the campaigns they run, as well as for our association, where we're tracking donor retention, we're tracking major gifts, number of gifts under $1,000. We have all these different metrics that then we can analyze and see what kind of patterns emerge, and then use that information that's real. It's not anecdotal. It's not a gut level hunch.
Yeah.
It's real.
Sure.
And then we use that to formulate strategies that will improve our performance in the next campaign. So then we say, our major donor level percentage, major gift percentage was down. We want to formulate some strategies that are going to address that. Little things like that will help us create real pathways for improvement in the future.
We've got some templates we're going to have up on our where our slides live.
Okay.
One's a marketing campaign template, and then someone in the session asked Sean to share templates for the report card.
Yeah.
Now, how can we share these with listeners?
They're at creativesuitcase.com/16NTC.
Okay.
They're also in our collaborative notes.
Okay.
People who are here.
For people who are here or
Yeah.
subscribe to NTC Conversations. But otherwise, creativesuitcase.com/16NTC.
You got it.
Okay. And what's their marketing templates?
Yeah, one is a word template that is a marketing campaign template. So it's like, what are we trying to achieve? Who are our audiences? What are our risks? So it basically asks all the questions that are hard to get to on your own sometimes.
Okay.
So you can just fill those in. It talks about tactics. You start running with that. And then Sean's, is it Excel docs?
I think it's actually a Word doc.
Okay.
I'd have to look and see, but it'll be a template for establishing a report card for your campaign performance.
Okay. And it'll be in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a great resource. We're going to leave it there.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you. All right. Rachel Clemens, Sean Doles. Rachel, again, is the president at Creative Suitcase, Nonprofit
right.
Communications, and Sean Doles, vice president of Mission Advancement at the YMCA of Austin. They're both from Austin. Sounds like
That's
you,
right.
Rachel, too. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
This is Tony Martignetti, Nonprofit Radio coverage of 16NTC, the Nonprofit Technology Conference. Thank you for being with us.